What if your fiancé left you the day before your wedding, and you married your gardener instead? That's exactly what happened to Chloe Bennett. A powerful, wealthy woman whose picture-perfect life shattered overnight. But the man she chose to marry on a whim, he wasn't who he seemed. Secrets, twists, and unexpected love unfold in this roller coaster of a story that will keep you hooked until the very last word. Who is Liam Carter really? And can a fake marriage lead to true love? Tell us where you're listening from, and don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable stories like this one. The bar's rooftop gleamed under the soft glow of string lights, the kind of place where money whispered rather than shouted. Liam Carter leaned back in his seat, nursing his third glass of whiskey as his two best friends, Ty and Jace, continued their banter across the marble-topped table. The night was warm, laughter bubbled from every corner of the venue, and the city skyline shimmered behind them like a show-off wearing diamonds. "You look bored," Ty remarked, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "I'm fine," Liam replied with a shrug, his voice smooth, calm, almost detached. "Dude, we're celebrating your expansion into Europe, and you're acting like we just buried someone," Jace chimed in. "Where's the Liam Carter who used to flirt with every woman in the room just for sport?" "He's evolved," Liam said with a smirk. "Maybe I've outgrown the games." Ty and Jace exchanged mischievous glances. "Oh, really?" Ty said, already leaning forward like a poker player about to lay down an unbeatable hand. "Because I see a perfect target at 2 o'clock. Liam followed his friend's gaze. Across the rooftop, sitting at a high table alone, was a woman in a deep green dress. She was effortlessly stunning, her hair swept to one side, a single heel dangling from her toe, while she toyed with a half-empty wine glass. But there was something more, something stormy in the way she stared past the skyline, like the city had wronged her. "She looks intense," Liam muttered, intrigued. "That's your challenge," Jace declared, grinning. "Go over, talk to her, get her number. Or better yet, get her to smile." "I'm not doing that," Liam said, chuckling. Ty slammed his hand on the table lightly. "Come on, Carter. One last game for old time's sake. You win, we'll wear those god-awful flamingo suits to your next board meeting. You lose, you follow through with our original bet." Liam narrowed his eyes. "You're still on about the gardener thing?" "Absolutely," Jace said. 1 month. Incognito." Liam considered the woman again. She looked like the type who didn't suffer fools. The type who might throw her drink in his face just for saying the wrong thing. And yet, something about her called to him. Not just her looks, but the fire behind those eyes. "Fine," he said at last, standing up and adjusting his blazer. "I'll make her smile." He approached her table with the same confidence that had helped him build a multi-billion-dollar company from the ground up. She didn't look up as he reached her, too busy staring into her wine like it might hold the answers to the universe. "Evening," he said, voice warm but casual. "Mind if I join you?" She raised one eyebrow, finally glancing at him. Her eyes were sharp, cool, and entirely unimpressed. "Yes, I do," she said flatly. Liam blinked, caught off guard. "I was just—" "You were just trying to do something charming. Let me guess. Your friends dared you to come over here and hit on the sad-looking woman, drinking alone." Liam hesitated. "Don't worry," she said, turning back to her glass. "You're not the first. Actually, whatever line you're about to say, spare it. I'm not in the mood." Liam stood there, speechless, as she took another sip. "Well," he muttered, "have a good night." He turned on his heel and walked back to his table. Ty and Jace were already laughing. "That was brutal," Jace wheezed.
"Did she slap you with her eyes or what?"
"Man, I almost feel bad," Ty added. Liam didn't speak. He sat down, grabbed his whiskey, and drained the glass. "You lost," Ty said. "Fair and square." "Yeah," Liam muttered, still thinking about the woman in green. "Guess I'll be a damn gardener." "Starting Monday," Jace said. "We already know the place. Remote mansion. Big estate. No press." Liam looked up, one eyebrow raised. "You've already picked it?" "Of course," Ty grinned. "It's part of the fun." Liam just shook his head, staring back toward the table where she sat, completely unaware that she had just changed the course of his entire month. And maybe, just maybe, his life. Chloe Bennett stood in front of the mirror in her walk, in closet smoothing the bodice of her wedding dress with trembling hands. The silk hugged her curves perfectly, the delicate lace shimmered under the chandelier's light, and her veil floated like a whisper behind her. She should have felt like a queen. Instead, a tight knot twisted in her stomach. "This is it," she whispered, forcing a smile. "I'm getting married." Just then, the door creaked open and Maya poked her head in, phone in hand and eyes wide. "Chloe, you might want to take this." Chloe arched a brow. "Can it wait? I'm having a moment here." "It's Nathan." The smile dropped from her face. "Put it on speaker." Maya did as asked, stepping closer. Chloe's heart pounded as Nathan's voice filtered through the speaker, sounding hoarse, hesitant. "Chloe, Chloe." Something was wrong. She knew that tone. It was the same one he used when he'd forgotten their anniversary or showed up late to her charity events. "I can't do it," he said. Silence. Chloe blinked at her reflection, confused. "I can't go through with the wedding," Nathan said. "I'm sorry. I've been seeing someone else. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. I'm in love with her." Chloe didn't respond. Her brain refused to process the words. She stared at the phone like it had turned to ash. "I'm sorry," Nathan repeated, then hung up. The silence that followed was deafening. Maya gasped, eyes darting to Chloe, but Chloe didn't move. For a long moment, she just stood there breathing too slowly, blinking too fast. Then she reached up, ripped the veil from her hair, and hurled it across the room. "That son of a..." she choked out, voice shaking. Maya rushed to her. "Chloe, I'm so sorry. That coward. On your wedding day?" "No," Chloe said, pacing now, her hands balled into fists. "No, he doesn't get to do this to me. Not today. Not after the money, the planning, the press. Do you know how many CEOs, investors, and politicians are on the guest list?" Maya nodded carefully. "But maybe it's best to cancel." "No," Chloe snapped. "I am not calling off this wedding." Maya blinked. "Chloe, you can't possibly mean." "I do," Chloe said, her voice steely. "I am walking down that aisle today." "But with who?" Chloe stopped pacing. Her eyes narrowed. "I'll find someone." Maya stared at her like she'd grown a second head. "You can't just find a groom hours before the ceremony. This isn't billed, bride." Chloe strode to the window, flinging the curtain open. The sun was high, mocking her. Down in the garden, a man was trimming hedges. He was tall, lean, in a white t-shirt damp with sweat, pushing a wheelbarrow with effortless strength. "Who's that?" she asked. Maya followed her gaze.
The new gardener, I think. He started this week. Why?
Chloe's lips pressed into a line. "Chloe. No." "Stop. You cannot possibly be thinking what I think you're thinking." Chloe didn't answer. She turned on her heel, and marched toward the stairs, gathering her train as she went. Maya followed in a panic. "You're going to ask a gardener to marry you?" "Yes," Chloe said without hesitation. "If he says yes, then problem solved. And if he says no, then I ask someone else. Mark Driver maybe. He's bald but loyal." "This is insane," Maya muttered. "Completely insane." Chloe flung open the back doors and walked straight into the garden, heels sinking slightly into the grass. The man looked up, wiping sweat from his brow. "Hey," Chloe called. "You? What's your name?" He blinked. "Liam, Mom." "Well, Liam," she said, standing tall and regal in her wedding gown, "how would you like to make 10 grand a month for marrying me?" Liam stared at her. "Come again." "You heard me. I need a groom. Today." Liam straightened, confused and amused. "Are you serious?" "As a heart attack," Chloe replied. "So what do you say?" Liam glanced around, like there might be hidden cameras. Then he looked at her. Really looked, and recognized the woman from the rooftop bar. The one who had humiliated him. His brow rose. "Well," he said slowly, "this just got interesting." Liam stood there, garden shears in one hand, utterly dumbfounded. Chloe Bennett, that woman, the same one who'd crushed his ego with a single glance at the bar, was now asking him to marry her. In broad daylight, in a wedding gown, offering 10 grand a month like she was shopping for a personal assistant. Sorry, can you repeat that?" he said, trying to buy himself a moment of sanity. "I said," Chloe repeated, arms crossed, chin raised, "marry me today, Liam. I'll pay you $10,000 a month. We'll sign a private agreement, no strings, no emotional expectations. Just say yes, put on a tux, and show up." He blinked hard, then let out a laugh of disbelief. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," she replied. "And I need your answer right now. The wedding's at 4. "Okay, hold on," Liam said, putting the shears down. "You don't even know me. What makes you think I'm the type of guy who'd agree to something that crazy? You're already here, aren't you?" She shot back. "You're working at my estate. You clearly need the job. I'm offering you something better than trimming hedges." Her tone wasn't cruel. It was matter. A fact, like she'd done this sort of transaction 1,000 times. But Liam couldn't help but feel a flicker of pride bristle inside him. He looked away for a moment, trying to think it through. He wasn't desperate for money. Hell, he was a billionaire. But she didn't know that. She saw a gardener, a nobody, and she was throwing money at him because her perfect little world had just imploded. "Why not just cancel the wedding?" he asked, genuinely curious. Chloe rolled her eyes. "Because everything's been paid for. The guests are already arriving. There are investors, political figures, media reps. I can't afford the scandal. My ex-fiancé just humiliated me, and I'm not giving him the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart." Liam studied her. Her jaw was tight, her eyes hard. But beneath it all, he saw the hint of something raw. Panic, maybe, or pride, or both. "And if I say no?" he asked. She glanced toward the driveway where Mark, the bald driver, was polishing her town car. "Then I ask someone else. Maybe him." Liam followed her gaze and grimaced. The idea of her marrying Mark, not because of love but out of sheer desperation, twisted something in his gut. He didn't want to admit it, but it bothered him. A lot. "Don't marry Mark," he said, almost before he realized he was speaking. "Then, are you saying yes?" He looked at her, really looked. She was beautiful, yes, but also complicated, intense, and way too smart to be doing something this reckless. And yet, here she was, offering him a role in what might just be the most insane charade of his life. He scratched the back of his neck and muttered, "Fine, I'll do it." Chloe's shoulders dropped slightly in relief. "Good. Go get cleaned up. You'll be fitted for a suit in 20 minutes. The stylist is already waiting." She turned to leave, then paused. "One more thing. Don't talk about your job. Don't speak unless spoken to. And for the love of God, don't mention this arrangement to anyone." "Got it," he said, half smiling, silent, well-dressed, and obedient. "Exactly," she said without looking back. As she strode off, Liam stared after her, still not entirely believing what had just happened. He pulled out his phone and dialed Jace. "Yo," Jace answered. "How's day 3 in Garden Paradise?" "I'm getting married in 3 hours," Liam said flatly. There was a long pause on the other end, followed by an explosive laugh.
What?
"Yeah, the woman from the bar. She owns the mansion. Her fiancé ditched her, and she asked me to be her stand, in groom." "No freaking way. Did you say yes?" "I did," Liam replied. "You idiot," Jace howled. "This is beyond the bet. You don't need to win anymore. You've already lost your damn mind." Liam smirked and looked toward the mansion. "Yeah, maybe. But this is going to be interesting." By 4 o'clock, the sun cast a golden hue across the sprawling Bennett estate, bathing the garden in light as guests took their seats among neatly trimmed hedges and rows of white roses. The scene was picture perfect. String quartets played softly in the background. Cameras clicked discreetly. Chloe stood hidden just behind the French doors, her heart pounding like it was trying to burst out of her ribcage. "You still have time to run," Maya whispered beside her, holding the bouquet tightly. "I'm not running," Chloe said, her voice sharper than she intended. "I've come too far to quit now." She adjusted the strap of her dress, smoothed her veil, and exhaled. Her entire life had been curated for perfection. Career, family image, social status. If people found out Nathan had left her, the vultures would descend within minutes. Investors would hesitate. Rumors would fly. No, this wedding had to happen. With or without the man she loved. And it was definitely without. The music shifted. The doors opened. Chloe stepped forward, her heels silent on the white carpet as gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. She could hear them. "That's not Nathan. Who is that man?" Did she really go through with it? She kept her chin high, eyes ahead. Liam stood at the altar, dressed in a sleek black tuxedo tailored just an hour before. He looked calm, polished, and infuriatingly handsome. She hadn't expected that. Liam's dark hair was combed back neatly, his usual playful expression replaced by something unreadable, composed but curious. As she walked toward him, she could tell he was trying to piece together the same puzzle she was. "What the hell are we doing?" When she finally reached him, he offered his hand. "You clean up well," she murmured under her breath. "You're not so bad yourself," he replied with a small smirk. They turned to face the officiant, who was already sweating bullets trying to keep the ceremony on track. Dearly beloved. Chloe's thoughts swirled. She barely registered the vows being read, the crowd watching, or the way her mother's tight-lipped smile trembled from the front row. All she could focus on was the absurdity of it all. This wasn't love. This wasn't even logic. It was damage control. "And do you, Chloe Bennett, take Liam Carter?" "I do," she said before the man could finish. Liam glanced at her sideways, amused. "And do you, Liam Carter, take Chloe Bennett?" "I do," he said, his voice surprisingly steady. When the officiant declared them husband and wife, Chloe didn't hesitate. She leaned in and gave him a quick, formal peck on the lips, the kind reserved for photo ops and political diplomacy. The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. It was done. As they walked back down the aisle together, arms linked, Liam leaned closer and whispered, "Well, Mrs. Carter, how's your day going so far?" "Don't push it," she muttered, still smiling for the cameras. They made it through the reception with practiced ease. Chloe played the role of glowing bride. Liam played supportive husband, even managing small talk with some of her father's business associates. He was careful, gracious, charming. No one suspected a thing. But behind the scenes, the tension simmered. Later that evening, Chloe sat in her office, having ditched the heavy dress in favor of a silk robe. She was alone until the door opened quietly, and Liam stepped in, removing his tie. "I assume there's no honeymoon," he said. "Obviously not." "Right." He walked over and handed her a check. "Your first installment." Chloe stared at the paper, then at him. "What are you doing?" "You said $10,000 a month, remember?" "I figured we should formalize it." She took the check slowly, unsure why her stomach twisted at the gesture. "Weirdly professional of you." "I'm just playing the part," he said with a shrug. "You're not the only one good at pretending." For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Chloe stood. "There's a guest room on the 3rd floor. First door on the left. Stay out of the master wing." "Understood." As he turned to leave, she hesitated. "You were decent today." He paused, glancing back. "So were you." When the door closed behind him, Chloe sat down and stared at the check again. The ink was still fresh, the signature bold. She had everything under control. This was her plan, her terms. And yet, for the first time that day, her hands trembled. The days following the wedding passed in a blur of controlled chaos. Chloe returned to her routine as if nothing had happened, diving back into work with laser focus. Meetings, reports, investor calls. She powered through them all with immaculate poise. If anyone in the office suspected that her marriage was less than conventional, no one dared to ask. She made sure of that. Liam, meanwhile, became something of a mystery among the staff. Word spread quickly that Chloe's new husband was stunningly attractive and impossibly reserved. Some whispered that he must be a foreign diplomat. Others thought he was a military man on leave. No one imagined he had been the estate's gardener just a week ago. Chloe had gone to great lengths to keep it that way. He no longer worked in the garden, of course. She had insisted he stop immediately. "It's inappropriate for my husband to be trimming hedges," she'd said matter-of-factly, as if their relationship extended beyond paperwork. Instead, she gave him a nondescript office in the company's design wing, far from her own, and tasked him with vague responsibilities like brand engagement research. It was a hollow position, a title without meaning. And Liam knew it. He spent his days pretending to scroll through spreadsheets, quietly observing the company from the inside out. It amused him more than anything. He could have bought the entire firm 10 times over, but here he was, playing the role of a kept man. Chloe rarely spoke to him beyond polite necessity. At home, they existed in parallel universes. She rose early, left for the office, returned late, and retreated to her room. He kept to the guest suite, ate alone, and only occasionally crossed paths with her in the hallway. When he did, she offered him the same sharp nod she'd give to any junior executive. It was frustrating. Liam had expected awkwardness. He'd even anticipated the cold shoulder. But this complete emotional blackout, it rubbed him the wrong way. One evening, after another silent dinner, well, He ate. She merely picked at a salad and scrolled through her phone. He finally broke the silence. "Is this really how it's going to be?" he asked. Chloe looked up, blinking as if she'd forgotten he was in the room. "Excuse me?" "This arrangement," Liam said, setting down his fork. "You said no emotional expectations, but you're acting like I'm radioactive. I didn't expect candlelit dinners and heartfelt confessions, but a basic, 'How was your day?' wouldn't kill you." Chloe's brows lifted, amused. "You want small talk?" "I want to feel like I exist in your world. Right now, I'm just an ornament in your social display case." "You agreed to be an ornament," she reminded him coolly. "You didn't seem to mind when I offered the paycheck." He leaned back, crossing his arms. "Fair point. But we're living under the same roof, pretending to be married. At some point, we have to at least pretend to like each other." She hesitated, then stood, pushing her chair in. "I don't pretend well." "That's a lie," he called after her. "You've been pretending your whole life. You're just better at it than most." She stopped mid-step, spine straightening. Slowly, she turned. "And what exactly do you think you know about my life?" Liam rose too, meeting her glare without flinching. "I know what it looks like when someone builds walls so high, even they forget what's on the other side." Her jaw clenched, but she didn't respond. Instead, she turned and walked away. That night, Liam lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering why he even cared. She was right. He had agreed to this, but he had agreed to this. But he hadn't expected her to haunt his thoughts like this, to occupy so much space in his mind when she barely spared him a word. Across the hall, Chloe stood at her window, arms wrapped around herself as the city lights blinked in the distance. She had felt something shift at dinner, a crack in the routine. A strange warmth had flickered in her chest when Liam challenged her. It annoyed her. No one challenged her. Not even Nathan had dared. She closed the curtain and whispered to herself, "This is just business." But even as she said it, her heart beat just a little too fast for that to be true. Chloe was in the middle of a meeting when her phone buzzed. She ignored it at first. She hated interruptions. But the buzzing came again, then again, relentless. With a sigh, she subtly glanced at the screen under the table. Nathan Grant. Her heart stalled for a beat, then resumed its rhythm with a surge of irritation. What could he possibly want? He had forfeited every right to contact her the moment he chose someone else over her. Whatever lingering guilt he had wasn't her problem. She declined the call without hesitation. But the messages kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. "Please talk to me." "Just 5 minutes, Chloe. I made a mistake." She clenched her jaw, forcing her focus back on the presentation. But even as she gave feedback on quarterly projections, Nathan's words echoed in her mind like an unwanted melody. She couldn't ignore the knot forming in her gut. Later that afternoon, she stepped outside for air and found herself scrolling through the messages again. Then came a new one, short, sharp, and chilling. "You moved on fast. Who is he?" Chloe's fingers hovered above the screen, then locked the phone and slipped it back into her purse. She wouldn't engage. She didn't owe him answers. He had made his bed. Now let him lie in it. But Nathan wasn't done. The next day, he showed up at her office. Chloe's assistant tried to block him, but Nathan was persistent and charming as ever. The front desk was buzzing when she finally emerged from the elevator, her heels clicking with purpose. "What are you doing here?" she asked coldly, arms folded. Nathan stood tall in his navy suit, every strand of hair in place, but his eyes betrayed a storm. "I needed to see you." "You've seen me. Goodbye." "Chloe, please." You don't get to beg now. You lost that privilege the second you picked her over me. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a mistake. She stared at him, expression unreadable. You're right. It was a mistake. And I've already corrected it. His jaw twitched.
That's why you married him. Out of spite?
Her eyes narrowed. I married Liam because I wanted to. That's all you need to know. Nathan laughed bitterly. You don't even know who he is. Where'd you find him? On a dating app? Chloe's stomach turned. Did Nathan suspect something? Goodbye, Nathan, she said, walking away without another word. But she couldn't shake the encounter. That night back at the mansion, she sat in her home office, sipping wine and staring out the window. The air was heavy, unsettled, and she had the distinct feeling that her past wasn't done chasing her. Her thoughts were interrupted by Liam's voice behind her. Rough day. She turned to see him leaning in the doorway, shirt sleeves rolled up, his dark eyes curious but calm. You could say that, she muttered. You want to talk about it? No. He nodded, not pushing. That annoyed her more. Nathan showed up today, she blurted out. Liam raised an eyebrow. Yeah. He wanted to talk. He asked about you. Liam chuckled softly. I'm flattered. I'm serious, she snapped. He's suspicious. Probably digging around. I wouldn't be surprised if he finds out you were the gardener. Liam crossed his arms.
Let him. It's not like we're hiding anything illegal.
She stared at him. Are you not worried at all? Should I be? He asked, voice calm. You're the one who dragged me into this. You said 10 grand and a tux. I didn't sign up for a soap opera. The words stung more than she expected. Right, she said tightly. You're just here for the paycheck. He paused. Isn't that what you wanted? She didn't answer. They stood in silence for a long moment before Liam added, quieter now. You think he's going to ruin your perfect little plan? She swallowed hard. I think he's going to try. Liam stepped forward. Then maybe it's time we stop pretending this is just a plan. Chloe's eyes met his, a flicker of panic blooming in her chest. She didn't respond, didn't move, didn't blink. But she was starting to realize pretending was getting harder with each passing day. The invitation had been sitting unopened on Chloe's desk for weeks, tucked beneath a stack of quarterly reports and unopened mail. She'd ignored it deliberately, hoping it would vanish the way unwanted memories should. But, of course, it didn't. Her 10-year high school reunion was fast approaching, and everyone who mattered would be there, including Nathan. You're not really going, are you? Maya asked, propped on Chloe's couch with a bowl of popcorn. I haven't decided, Chloe replied, flipping through her tablet. Why walk into a room full of people whispering about how I got dumped at the altar? You didn't get dumped. You upgraded, Maya said, dramatically gesturing at the mansion's opulent decor. And besides, you're married now. Let them whisper all they want. Chloe rolled her eyes.
Fake husband is still fake, Maya.
Yeah, well, he's hot fake, Maya muttered with a grin. And he's still your +1. The silence stretched. Chloe set her tablet down and sighed. Fine. The night of the reunion arrived quicker than expected. Chloe wore a deep blue satin dress with an open back and a slit that stopped just above the knee. Elegant, but not desperate. She arrived alone, wanting to avoid the grand entrance, and blended easily into the lobby of the upscale hotel ballroom. The space buzzed with old classmates, laughter, and the soft clink of champagne flutes. Chloe Bennett, a familiar voice called out. She turned and saw Madison Green, former prom queen, still stunning, still perfectly toned, and still annoying. Madison, Chloe said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. They exchanged pleasantries while others joined, each conversation subtly laced with comparisons. Who'd aged well, who had kids, who got rich, who disappeared. Chloe played the game, but inside, her nerves prickled. Nathan hadn't shown up yet. Or so she thought. "Wow, Chloe," a male voice behind her said. "You look incredible." She stiffened before turning around. Nathan. He wore a tailored suit, charm painted on his face like it was permanent, and an expression that wavered between guilt and something unreadable. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he said. "I almost didn't," she replied curtly. The small crowd around them sensed the tension and discreetly drifted away. "I heard you got married," Nathan said, glancing at her left hand. Quickly. Chloe smiled sweetly. "When you know." Nathan's eyes darkened. "So, where is he?" "Who?" "Your husband." Chloe opened her mouth, but before she could answer, a small commotion near the ballroom entrance stole the attention of everyone in the room. A few women squealed. Phones were subtly raised. Chloe turned, and her heart nearly stopped. Liam walked in wearing a classic black tuxedo, hair swept back, the very picture of confident elegance. His eyes scanned the crowd and landed on her like a homing missile. "You've got to be kidding me," she muttered under her breath. He approached with the easy stride of someone who knew exactly how much power he held in a room. "Sorry I'm late," he said, slipping his arm around her waist like it had always belonged there. Traffic was a nightmare. She blinked at him. "What are you doing here?" "Your friend Maya texted me the time and location," he whispered. "Thought I'd surprise you. Nice crowd." Nathan's mouth opened, then closed. "Liam Carter," Liam said smoothly, offering his hand. Nathan hesitated before shaking it. "Nathan Grant." "Ah," Liam said, eyes sparkling with unspoken challenge. "The ex-fiancé." Chloe felt the tension spike. "Chloe and I were just catching up," Nathan said, trying to reclaim his dignity. "Were you?" Liam replied, pulling Chloe closer. "Well, I hope you're all caught up, because she's with me now." Gasps murmured through the crowd. Chloe caught glimpses of stunned faces, a few envious ones, and one girl actually fanning herself. Someone whispered, "That's Liam Carter, the CO." Another added, "I thought he was a billionaire." Liam smiled. "People exaggerate." Chloe wanted to die. Nathan stepped back, his expression clouded with disbelief. "You're him? Chloe married you?" "Sure did," Liam replied, then leaned down and kissed Chloe's temple like it was the most natural thing in the world. And in that moment, for reasons she didn't want to examine too closely, Chloe didn't stop him. Chloe couldn't breathe. The moment Liam's lips brushed her temple, her body went stiff, her mind a riot of emotions. Everyone in the room was watching, whispering, processing what had just unfolded. But all she could think about was the warmth of his touch, the unshakable way he held her like she actually belonged to him. "You planned this, didn't you?" she hissed under her breath, still smiling like a composed socialite for the sake of the gawking audience. "Me," Liam said innocently. "You think I could orchestrate that dramatic an entrance? You give me too much credit?" "You could warned me." "Then it wouldn't be a surprise," he whispered, flashing her a smile that nearly cracked her defenses. Before she could respond, the MC called everyone's attention for a photo, and Chloe, grateful for the interruption, slipped away with Liam in tow. Once they were alone near the bar, far from eager eyes and loose-lipped former classmates, she turned to face him. "Why are you really here?" Liam took a sip of champagne and gave her a long look. "You told Nathan you were married. I figured I should make it believable." Chloe crossed her arms. "I had it handled." "Oh, I saw that." You were seconds away from turning him into stone with your glare. She rolled her eyes, but a part of her softened. Still, you didn't have to come. Liam leaned in slightly. Maybe I wanted to. That was the problem. She didn't know what was real anymore. What he was doing for the performance, and what he was doing because he wanted to. She'd built a fortress around herself to survive Nathan's betrayal, but Liam kept slipping through the cracks. Worse, she wasn't sure she wanted to seal them anymore. Later that night, they returned to the mansion in silence. Chloe kicked off her heels the second they entered the foyer, her legs aching from hours of standing and smiling. Liam was already unbuttoning his collar. I meant what I said to him, he murmured suddenly. She looked up. What? At the reunion. That you're with me now. She stared at him. Don't say things you don't mean. I'm not, Liam said. I know this started as a deal. You needed a groom. I needed a reason to stop being bored. But somewhere along the way, he trailed off, rubbing the back of his neck. It stopped feeling fake. Chloe's chest tightened. You don't even know me, Liam. I'm getting to, he said softly. She turned away, unsure what to say. Her emotions were all jumbled. Anger, guilt, longing. Before she could stop herself, she said, I never filed the marriage certificate. Silence. She turned back to see his expression harden, but only slightly. His brows drew together. So, you mean we're not legally married? No, she said quietly. It was never official. Liam didn't speak right away. He took a deep breath and walked to the window, staring out at the night sky like it held the answers he needed. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think it mattered, she replied, trying to stay composed. I figured you'd be gone once your month was up anyway. I would stayed, he said, without turning around. The words hit her like a blow. He finally looked back at her, eyes shadowed. You think I'm like Nathan. That I'll leave the second something better comes along. Chloe didn't answer. She didn't have to. Liam took a few slow steps toward her. Then, let me make this real. What do you mean? Marry me, he said. For real this time. No contracts. No payments. Just us. Her breath caught. You're crazy. Probably, he said. But I've never been more serious. She looked into his eyes, searching for any trace of deception, but found only sincerity. I need time, she said. He nodded. I'll wait. As he turned to leave, she whispered, You're not like him. Liam paused at the door, his voice barely audible. Then let me prove it. Chloe sat alone in her office, the city lights casting long shadows across the marble floor. She hadn't turned on the overhead lights, preferring the dim glow of her desk lamp, as if softer lighting could make the truth sting less. Her fingers tapped against the edge of her chair, restless, uncertain. Liam's words replayed in her mind like a song stuck on loop. Marry me. For real this time. He hadn't flinched when she admitted the marriage wasn't legal. He hadn't yelled, cursed, or stormed off like Nathan had done when things didn't go his way. He'd simply looked at her and offered his heart like it wasn't already fractured from her silence. And now, she was the one unsure. A knock startled her. She looked up, expecting an assistant, or maybe Maya. Instead, Liam stepped inside, still in his crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up, the top buttons undone, like he couldn't quite commit to formality tonight. He carried a small paper bag in one hand. You didn't eat dinner, he said simply. She stared at him, unsure if she wanted to throw him out or kiss him. I wasn't hungry. Liar, he said with a faint smile. He placed the bag on her desk and pulled out a burger and fries. Her favorite, from the greasy diner she only visited when she was too tired to care about appearances. "How did you—" she started. "Maya told me." Of course, she did. Liam sat across from her without asking and unwrapped the burger, sliding it toward her. She didn't move. "I'm not here to pressure you," he said. "I just figured you needed something real today." Chloe picked up the burger slowly, took a bite, and closed her eyes. It tasted exactly the way it always had. Messy, indulgent, comforting. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Liam leaned down, his face inches from hers. "Chloe," he whispered, "you stopped being a bet the second you made me want forever." And with that, he left the room, not needing to stay to hear her answer, because deep down, he knew she was already saying yes. Chloe sat at the vanity in her room, brushing her hair with slow, distracted strokes. Her reflection stared back with unspoken questions, ones she couldn't yet answer. Every day since the reunion, Liam had been different. Not that he'd ever really been ordinary, but now he was present in a way that felt undeniably intentional. Thoughtful texts in the morning, fresh coffee at her desk with her absurdly specific order, quiet dinners where he didn't force conversation but waited patiently if she wanted to talk. And the flowers. Every day, a different kind, with handwritten notes tucked inside. Sometimes playful, sometimes sweet. "I like the way you roll your eyes when you pretend you're not impressed. Still waiting for that second real kiss. I'm not leaving, so stop testing me." He was inching his way into her guarded heart, and it terrified her. Tonight, she found herself standing outside the living room in her satin robe, watching through a narrow crack in the door. Liam was seated at the grand piano, an instrument Chloe hadn't touched since her father passed. She hadn't even known Liam could play. But there he was, fingers moving gracefully over the keys, playing something soft, haunting, and heartbreakingly beautiful. She leaned against the doorframe, mesmerized. When he finished, he looked up. "You've been spying on me," he said without turning around. She stepped inside, arms folded loosely. "You didn't tell me you played. You didn't ask." He patted the space beside him on the piano bench, and she hesitated before walking over and sitting. Their knees touched. Her heart fluttered. "What was that piece?" she asked quietly. "Something I wrote," he said, glancing at her. "I was thinking of you." She laughed, nervously. "You're laying it on thick tonight." He smiled, just being honest. They sat in silence for a moment. Chloe's gaze drifted to his hands. Strong, steady, and the way they rested so gently on the keys. "I'm scared," she admitted, surprising even herself. Then Liam leaned forward.
Can I ask you something?
"Depends. When did you start thinking it wasn't fake?" She opened her eyes, met his gaze. "When you showed up at the reunion." He nodded. "That's when I knew too." A long silence followed. Chloe's heart thudded loudly, echoing in the quiet. "There's something else," Liam said. "Tomorrow, I scheduled an appointment with a wedding planner. She'll come by the mansion. Just to talk. Nothing binding." She narrowed her eyes. "You're not giving up, are you?" "Nope," he said, unapologetic. "You told me you needed time. I'm giving you time, but I'm also showing you I'm not going anywhere." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Even if I say no?" "I'll still be here," he replied, "until you tell me to go." That simple promise broke something in her. She wasn't used to people staying. Her father had died early. Her mother stayed emotionally distant. Nathan left when things got messy. And now, here was Liam, a man she barely knew a few months ago, sitting in front of her with greasy fries and a vow stronger than any diamond ring. She looked down, trying to blink away the sudden sting behind her eyes. You make it hard to stay guarded. That's the point, he said gently. Chloe let out a shaky laugh. You're so annoyingly persistent. You love that about me, he teased. She shook her head but smiled despite herself. Maybe. He stood then, gathering the wrappers. I'll leave you to finish. Just wanted to check in. Before he turned away, she reached out and caught his wrist. He looked at her, and for the first time in weeks, her gaze didn't hold a wall. It held an invitation. If we do this, she said quietly, it can't be a rebound. I can't be your game. I can't be your bet. Liam didn't flinch. Of what? Of falling for someone who might disappear the moment things get too real. His voice softened. I'm not Nathan, Chloe. She nodded. I know. But you're still a man who came into my life because of a bet. I stayed because of you, he said. And if I could undo that stupid night at the bar, I would. But I can't. All I can do now is prove that none of this is a game to me anymore. Chloe looked down at their hands, so close, almost touching. Then show me, she said. Not just with flowers or songs or gestures. Show me you're here for me, not just the idea of winning me. Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He handed it to her without a word. Chloe unfolded it slowly. It was a scanned copy of a marriage license, already filled out, signed by him. You already filed it? She asked, startled. No, he said. I filled it out. I didn't submit it. I wanted you to decide when it becomes real. Her throat tightened. You trust me with this? I trust you with everything. Chloe stared at the form in her hands, then up at the man sitting beside her, the fake husband who'd turned into something dangerously close to her truth. She stood, paper trembling between her fingers. Oh, she whispered. Liam rose too. Okay? I'll sign it, she said. Tomorrow. Let's do this. For real? His eyes searched hers for any hesitation, but all he found was resolve, and something softer, warmer. He didn't kiss her. Not yet. Instead, he reached out and took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. They stood there like that, two souls on the edge of something terrifying and beautiful, knowing that the next step was no longer pretend. It was love, the real kind, the kind you choose. The sun bathed the St. Augustine Church in soft golden light, filtering through the stained glass windows and painting the white aisle in hues of rose and amber. Chloe stood behind the heavy wooden doors, her fingers tightening around the bouquet as the first chords of the wedding march echoed across the pews. Her heart was racing. Not from fear this time, but from something far deeper. Hope, joy. A little disbelief that she was actually doing this. Maya peeked at her from the side.
Are you breathing?
You look like you're about to pass out. I'm fine, Chloe whispered, though her throat was dry and her legs felt like jelly. Last chance to run, Maya teased. I don't want to run, Chloe said. Not anymore. With that, the doors opened, and the crowd turned to watch her step into the light. This time, there were no whispers about a mystery groom, no raised eyebrows or pitying glances. People weren't wondering if the marriage was a cover-up. They knew. Everyone knew. Everyone knew this was real. Because Liam Carter stood at the altar waiting for her, not as a stand-in, not as a hired groom, but as the man who had stayed through every test, who had torn down her walls piece by piece, and stood in the wreckage, smiling. He looked devastatingly handsome in a charcoal gray tuxedo, his expression soft and unwavering. As Chloe walked down the aisle, her gaze locked on his, her lips curving into the smile she hadn't been able to suppress for weeks now. This was no longer about appearances, no longer about saving face. This was hers. This was real. When she reached him, he took her hand and whispered, "Took you long enough." She arched a brow. "Don't get cocky. I could still change my mind." He leaned in, his smile crooked. Too late. Already filed the paperwork. The crowd laughed as the officiant welcomed them, but Chloe barely registered the words. Everything around her blurred, fading into the background, except for Liam. His warmth beside her, the way his thumb gently brushed her palm, grounding her in the moment. When it came time for vows, Liam spoke first. "Chloe, Chloe," he said, his voice steady despite the lump forming in his throat. "You barged into my life like a hurricane disguised in heels. What started as a bet, something foolish and arrogant, became the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. You became the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. You challenged me. You humbled me than I ever thought I deserved. I promise to be your partner, your protector, your biggest fan, and I promise that you'll never face anything alone again." Chloe's eyes shimmered. Her throat tightened as she began, "Liam, when I first met you, I thought you were the most irritating, arrogant man I'd ever encountered. And then you became my last-minute groom. But somewhere between pretending and planning, you became something else. Real. Constant. Safe. You made me believe. Again. In love, in loyalty, in second chances. I promised to never take you for granted, to never hide behind walls, and to always choose you, even on the hard days." The officiant declared them husband and wife, and when Liam pulled Chloe in for their kiss, the applause roared. It wasn't just a celebration. It was a release, a letting go of everything that had come before. All the pain, the pretending, the old wounds, they disappeared in that one perfect kiss. At the reception, laughter filled the ballroom. Maya cried during her toast. Chloe's mother, surprisingly teary-eyed, hugged Liam and whispered something that made him smile. Nathan even showed up. Chloe saw him standing near the exit, dressed in black, a faint smile playing at his lips. He approached her cautiously during the slow dance, extending a hand. "May I?" Liam gave a small nod, stepping aside. Chloe took Nathan's hand, and they danced in silence for a few beats before he spoke. "You look happy," he said. "I am. I'm sorry, Chloe. I really am. I forgave you a long time ago," she said softly. "You just didn't know it." He nodded, letting go gently. "I'm glad it's him." Liam returned just as the song ended, slipping an arm around Chloe's waist and pulling her close. "You okay?" he asked. She rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "More than okay." As they danced under the lights, surrounded by the people who mattered most, Chloe finally understood what real love felt like. It wasn't flawless or predictable. It was messy, surprising, and terrifying. But it was worth everything. And this time, she wasn't pretending. The hospital walls were too white, too quiet, too clean. Liam paced the hallway outside the delivery room like a caged lion, hands buried in his hair, tie long since discarded. Every so often, a nurse passed by with a polite but unreadable smile, offering no news. Just routine reassurance that everything was progressing normally. Normally, Chloe had been in labor for over 6 hours. Nothing about this felt normal. Georgia sat on the bench nearby, watching him with tired eyes and a half-eaten granola bar in her hand. "Ryan," she said gently, using the nickname she still slipped into when he got too dramatic. "Sit. You're making me dizzy." "I can't," Liam muttered, walking another lap down the hall. She screamed at me to get out of the room. Said, I was breathing too loud. What does that even mean? Georgia chuckled.
It means she's having 3 babies at once, and you're lucky she didn't throw a bedpan at your head.
Liam stopped pacing, heart pounding. I can't believe we're having triplets. I thought we were having one. Georgia held up 3 fingers with a teasing grin. Welcome to fatherhood. Just then, a nurse pushed open the delivery room door. He was at her side in a second. Yes, is she okay? The babies? The nurse smiled, this time wide and genuine. All 3 babies are healthy, and your wife is doing just fine. She's in recovery now. You can see her in just a few minutes. Liam swore he'd never felt his knees go weak before. He clutched the wall for support, eyes glassy with relief. 3. Healthy. Babies. Georgia laughed and gave him a playful nudge. Go meet your new team. When Liam finally walked into the recovery room, Chloe was lying in bed, pale and exhausted, but absolutely radiant. Her hair clung to her forehead, her eyes heavy, lidded but warm as they landed on him. He approached slowly, almost afraid to breathe. Hey, warrior. Hey, she whispered, voice hoarse. You survived the hallway? Barely. Chloe gave a faint laugh, wincing slightly. They told you? He nodded. Triplets. I nearly passed out. You think you were surprised? She said. Try carrying them. He leaned down and kissed her forehead, eyes shimmering. You're incredible. The nurse returned then, rolling in 3 bassinets, each containing a swaddled, impossibly tiny human. Liam stared in wonder. Do we know which one came first? He asked. The nurse pointed. That little screamer on the left. Then his brother. Liam approached, breath catching in his throat. The 2 boys were identical, small fists curled, dark tufts of hair peeking out from under their caps. The girl had a more delicate face, and her little nose wrinkled in sleep like she was already annoyed with the world. Chloe watched him quietly, her heart aching in the best way. Have you thought of names? I wanted to wait for you, he said, picking up the smallest boy and cradling him with surprising ease. She smiled.
Let's name the first one Julian, the second Miles.
Liam turned toward her, brows lifted. And our little girl? Chloe looked over at the baby girl, her eyes growing misty. Scarlett. Julian, Miles, and Scarlett Carter, Liam whispered, testing the sound. They're perfect. He placed Julian gently back in his bassinet and moved to Chloe's side, taking her hand in his. Thank you, he said softly, overwhelmed. For doing this. For doing this. For them. For us. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. I didn't think I could love you more than I did at our wedding. But today proved me wrong. Liam leaned in, brushing his lips against her forehead. I'm gonna be the best dad I can be. And I'll never let you or them down. You already are, she whispered. As night fell over the city, the hospital room glowed softly under warm lights. Chloe dozed off, one arm draped protectively over her abdomen, while Liam sat beside her, watching over their children. 3 tiny miracles, born from the most unlikely beginning. A fake marriage, a broken engagement, a reckless bet. And yet, it all led here, to the moment where everything real finally began. Life lesson. Sometimes, the most beautiful chapters of our lives begin with the most unexpected turns. Chloe and Liam's story started as nothing more than a hasty solution, born from heartbreak and pride. What began as a fake marriage slowly unfolded into something real, rooted not in perfection, but in patience, trust, and vulnerability. Their journey reminds us that love doesn't always arrive with fanfare or flawless timing. It can come quietly, through shared glances, quiet dinners, and the bravery to stay even when walking away seems easier. The truth is, love isn't about grand gestures or social appearances. It's about showing up when it matters, choosing someone even on the hard days, and learning to trust again after being broken. Chloe had to let go of control. Liam had to prove he wasn't just another man playing games. Together, they built something authentic, messy, imperfect, but deeply meaningful. The lesson: don't be afraid to open your heart, even after it's been hurt. Don't measure the value of a relationship by how it starts, but by how it grows. Real love might come disguised as a mistake, but with faith and effort, it can turn into your greatest blessing. Did you enjoy this story? Where did you listen from? Let us know in the comments below. And if you'd love more stories like this, full of twists, heart, and hope, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you never miss a tale. Thank you for being here.